in tomorrow's world, as well as in today's world, we meet up with people from many other countries very easily and very often. And in order to be successful, I think we really need to learn how to communicate across cultures. Just like you can see here in the picture I took in China 15 years ago with my little daughter, then, she's big now, she showed something which children can do. They can communicate across cultures naturally. She does very many things right here. She bends down, she looks in the eyes of the other person, and she comes close. And I think they have a good communication there. Maybe because they don't realize how different they are. They are already 5 years, so they have learned many, many things, different things, Chinese things and Swedish things, but it is there is a lot of things that they have in common, and that is the case for all people, naturally. So there are differences in the world today. They depend on the fact that the countries are very separate from each other. You have seas, large stretches of water that makes communication very difficult. Today it is possible to communicate, but earlier it was impossible. So habits have developed and they are considered normal. And also when people have met other people, they have always felt that these other people are very, very strange. Now, maybe you think this is strange, the world upside down. Let's change it to the old familiar style. As Europeans, we feel superior here. We have Europe on top, and in the middle, I bought the map in China, and China was in the middle there. So that's something we all like, to be in the center and a bit at the top. The bottom line is to understand what culture really is. It can be made into a long, complicated thing, but there are a few simple ways of explaining it too. And here I like the top one here, the way of life of a people. It is something that you can see. You look at the people in a country, in a town, and you see how they live. That's their culture. It's simple as that. Number two here, the personality of the group is totally different, really, because you can never see the personality of the group. On the other hand, you can assume that there is a personality in me and also in the group that I normally get along with. And this is under the surface. It is invisible. An important definition is made by Geert Hofstede, the Dutch researcher. It is this one here, mental programming. The assumption is that we are a bit like computers. We have the hardware, we have our brains, and then our families program us. Before the age of 10, we have all the software. And that's also the name of his book, Software of the Mind. Another easy and nice way of explaining culture is that it is like a house. Of course, it is not a house. But houses in different parts of the world look differently. And this house here, it is a typical Swedish house. It's made of the natural raw materials that we have. And then in the house, we feel comfortable, just like in our culture. It is also a protection against strange things that happen in the world. And it has windows. We look out of our house into the world through our special windows. But the most useful metaphor in culture is the iceberg, anyway. Because an iceberg is very much like us, very much like our societies. You can only see what's above the surface. And that's 10% of an iceberg. Under the surface, you have 90%. And in this picture here, I have written that below the surface, you have the interests, the attitudes, the values, the knowledge, and the beliefs in a culture, things that we share in a culture. That is what is so difficult for an outsider to see. I will continue to talk about the icebergs in my next video. Thank you for listening so far.